Okay, the time is 8:02, and we are here today to canvass the municipal election. Today is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. We have enough people present to canvass the election, so I'll call the meeting to order. The purpose of this meeting is to canvass and approve the resolution of the official election results from November 3rd. In accordance with the election laws, only 2 council members are required for a quorum. Therefore, there being a quorum present, I call this meeting to order. Item 2, consider approval of a resolution canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the November 3rd, 2020 general election for council members place 1, place 3, place 5, and place 7, and ordering a runoff election to be held on November 8th, 2020 for the purpose of electing city council member place 5 and authorizing the mayor to sign. Mr. Hager, do you have anything to add?
Mayor, I will now read the canvass as is our custom. Whereas it is hereby found and determined that notices of the general election were duly given in the form, manner, and time required by law, and said elections were in all respects legally held and conducted in accordance with applicable laws of the state of Texas and the proceedings calling and governing the holding of such elections, and whereas it is imperative to consider the returns of the general election held on November 3rd, 2020 for the purpose of electing the hereinafter named officials before the qualified voters of the city, and whereas the returns of the general election have been duly and legally made and submitted to the City Council for canvassing and a tabulation of the returns for the polling places and for early voting as canvassed and tabulated by the governing body, and whereas the returns for council members for place 1, 3, and 7 receiving a majority of votes cast and the results in the election of the candidate for said positions, and whereas the returns for council member for place 5 did not result in the candidate receiving a majority of the votes cast and a runoff is required by law, it is now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Coppell, Texas, after examining said returns and the opening and canvassing of the votes of said election for council members place 1, 3, and 7, the results of said general election are as follows. Section 1, that the following number of votes were cast for the following unopposed candidate for the office of council member place 1, to wit, Cliff Long. Early votes 16,299. Election day votes 1,255 for a total of 17,554. The council member place 1, Cliff Long, is hereby duly elected to the City Council as council member place 1 to complete a 3-year term subject to him taking the oath of office as provided by the laws of the state of Texas. Section 2, that the following number of votes were cast for the following named candidate for the office of council member place 3. Davin Bernstein, 7,801. Election day votes 743. Total votes 8,544. Wes Mays, early votes 9,641. Election day 597. Total votes 10,238. Council member place 3, Wes Mays, is hereby declared duly elected to the City Council. The City Council member place 3 to complete a 3-year term subject to him taking the oath of office as provided by the laws of the state of Texas. Section 3, that the following number of votes were cast for the following unopposed candidate for the office of council member place 7, to wit, Mark Hill. 15,689. Election day votes 1,193. Total votes 16,882. The council member place 7, Mark Hill, is hereby declared the duly elected to the City Council as council member place 7 to complete a 3-year term subject to him taking the oath of office as provided by the laws of the state of Texas. Section 4, the following number of votes were cast for the following named candidate for the office of council member place 5. Aaron Bogdanowicz, early votes 505 votes. Election day votes 278. Total votes 3,783. Jim Walker, early votes 5,922, election day votes 430, total votes 6,352. John June, early votes 8,359, election day votes 653, total votes 9,012. It appearing that no candidate received the majority of the votes cast for the office of council member place 5, the position will be elected during a runoff on December 8th, 2020 runoff election. Section 5, that a runoff election is hereby ordered for December 8th, 2020 for the purpose of electing a council member for place 5 for a full term. Only the candidates for said runoff election shall be the 2 candidates for place 5 who receive the highest and second highest number of votes for said office at the municipal office election for the city conducted on November 3rd, 2020 and canvassed on November 17th, 2020. Accordingly, the official canvass of said election, no candidate having received for place 5 received a majority of the votes cast for said office, and the candidate receiving the highest number of votes were as follows: Jim Walker, 6,352 votes; John June, 9,012 votes. Section 6, the presiding election judge and alternate presiding election judge appointed to serve and authorize the polling place and early voting clerk, the city secretary, and the deputy early voting clerk shall be those election officials who serve at the regular election on November 3rd, 2020. A voting system or systems meeting the standards and requirements of the Texas Election Code as amended is hereby adopted and approved for early voting by personal appearance by mail on the election day voting. Section 7. The election shall be held as a joint election administered by the Dallas and Denton County election administrators, utilizing specific equipment to cast the ballots as approved by the Secretary of State and in accordance with the provisions of the Texas Election Code and the Texas Administrative Code, with a joint election agreement for each of the respective counties. The city manager is hereby authorized to execute the election contracts with the County of Dallas and Denton for the conduct of the election. Pursuant to the joint election contract, the joint election administrator shall serve as the election administrator for the election. Presiding election judge and alternate presiding election judge appointed to serve at said polling place shall be those election officials furnished by the election administrator from the list of proposed election judges listed in the attachment to the joint election contract. Notice of the election shall be posted on the bulletin board used to post the notice of the city council meetings, be published in a newspaper of general circulation in the city. Said notice must be published on the same day in each of the 2 successive weeks, with the first publication occurring no earlier than the 30th day and no later than the 14th day before the date of the election. A copy of the published notice that contains the name of the newspaper and date of the publication shall be retained as a record of such notice, and such persons posting the notice shall make a record of the time of the posting, starting date, and place of posting. Early voting by personal appearance for Dallas County and Denton County residents will be set forth in accordance with state law and stated in the joint election contracts and posted on the city's webpage. Application for the ballot by mail must be received no later than the close of business on November 30th, 2020. Applications for early voting by mail shall be mailed to the address for Dallas County residents: Tony Pippins Pool, Dallas County Administrator, 1520 Round Table Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75247, Denton County Election Administration, 701 Kimberly Drive, Suite A101, Denton, Texas, 76208. All residents and qualified electors of the city shall be permitted to vote at said election. This election shall be held and conducted in accordance with the provision of the Texas Election Code as may be required by law, and all election materials shall be printed in both English and Spanish. Section 9. The city secretary is hereby directed to cause the notice of said election to be published at least once, not earlier than the 30th day nor later than the 15th day before the election, as provided by Section 4.003A1 of the Texas Election Code, and shall be posted on the bulletin board used for posting the notices of the city council meetings not later than the 15th day before the election. A copy of the published notice that contains the name of the newspaper and date of the publication shall be retained as a record of such notice, and the persons posting the notice shall make a record of the time of the posting and the date and the place of the posting in accordance with the Texas Election Code, Section 4.005. Section 10. This resolution shall take effect immediately after its passage, duly ordered by the City Council of the City of Coppell, Texas, on the 17th day of November 2020. Approval by the Mayor, Karen Sobo Hunt, attested by the City Secretary, Ashley Owens.
Thank you. Councilmember Roden.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve item 2.
Councilmember Matthew.
Second.
All in favor?
Roden and Matthew, the motion is approved. Motion carries, all approved.
Thank you very much. There being no further business before this council, this meeting is adjourned at 8:13.